Tonight I have to tell a made-up story about like a blood debt to I have to I have that I have which I have about a relative human who used to be a living organism, but this is different than politics, even though you may think this is politics, because I've said I won't discuss politics at the moment, at the least. This is history. I think we're talking early 1900s. But so the Pahlavi, in the Pahlavi dynasty in Iran, I had mentioned my mother is Dravidian, and my mother's grandfather's paternal uncle. Those humans are Khan, which is a feudal lord. Landlord and peasant sort of thing, because where I am of, we in the Middle East, we weren't slaveholders. We aren't as the southern humans are, I guess, like the Arab type humans who had slave trade from East Africa. We are no those humans. We are closer to what the Russian are to the north. I'm not sure about Ukraine, but like I guess Russia, Ukraine, where there was the feudal system and you had the serfs and everything. So on my mother's side, we are Khan, which are landowners, and the peasants would work the land and would get a share of the profit, if I'm understanding, basically. So not slaves. Neither on my father's side nor my mother's side have we ever been slave owners, though I am held as a slave. So we have been slave in who I am. And we have never held a slave, so we are definitely the winner. We will have won. Earlier than the grandfather, the maternal grandfather my mother had, and the Ten Commandments say, "Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother." Earlier than he was the largest in terms of power, male, adult human, who was in control of a relatively small area in, the equivalent of, let's say, but it's Western, it's not Southern. So I guess you could say, I guess it would be better explained as like Oregon or maybe Utah or something. He in like a relatively small, we're talking like under the millions, but he was a very large landowner. He had made the schools. He had given the land. Not he made the schools, but he had given the land to make the school. I guess the first school, and he would like donate land and those sort of things. And he was the biggest man on, if I understand, in each direction, north, south, east, and west, within a finite area. Not like in the capital. Never in like the capital of the province, but in like a given amount of the province. And the province is Shem and Japheth. So there are Shem Elam, and the capital is controlled by like my blood cousin types, which they don't appear as black skin humans, but they are the black group. They're darker usually and somewhat shorter, but very stocky and built. And they appear like very tan, but they're black. Like how like Germany has like black flag color, and Belgium has black flag color, but they're white skin humans. But these are like a black within who Elam is. And my father's side are from Elam, but I think, if I remember correctly, somewhat to the west, and we are the white. We are the white humans on my father's patrilineal side. So yeah, we're the cousins of the blacks and we're the whites. And we're somewhat like thinner, if I understand correctly, usually, and we're taller, even though I'm only just under 6'2". But we have like 6'8" and stuff of the sort. Adult human males like 6'8". And my mother's side is Japheth Dravidian, but like way earlier than the Dravidian had left for like Hyderabad and Bangalore, and which should be sort of revealing, and I guess Chennai, I don't know, I guess into Sri Lanka or like Telugu language, or I have to study more. But so I'm Khan on my mother's Dravidian side, on my mother's side, who is Dravidian, and she's passed away at the moment. But so her paternal, sorry, not her paternal, her maternal grandfather, so her mother's father, he was the biggest of the like landlords, like bigger than anyone else in the area and within the group, within the genome group, within that like city town sort of area. But so he and he even had a picture I've seen where he was shaking the hand of Muhammad Reza Pahlavi, because he had given Muhammad Reza Pahlavi a white horse. And I forget where the picture is or what happened to the picture, but his I think his paternal uncle, so his father's brother, if I understand correctly. I'm not sure if he's a maternal uncle. I think he's a paternal uncle. His name was Mer Ali Khan. Okay, I'm pronouncing it really poorly, but Mer Ali Khan was childless. He was very, very powerful in those in the Japhet Dravidian genome there in western and not southern, like sort of like upward, but not all the way upward, but to the west. So not the southern groups, not like Ahvaz and Khuzestan and those like northern, so not like the slaveholders down south. So, but not like the Turks either, the Iranian Turks to the northwest, in between. So we're talking Loristan, and we're talking different then, because Elam Shem would be Khorramabad, which are the blacks, and then Burujerd, which are us blonde whites. So I'm like considered like a blonde white in those populations. But of course, like the Turks to the north, those have like actually like very light eyes, very light hair in many instances. But anyways, so we are the on my father's side, we are Burujerdi. Bur is the Farsi word for blonde, and Jerd. So we're from Burujerd. We're like blonde whites. And Khorramabad, if you use physics, it translates to essentially may, in a sense of the words. Khorram is like my eating. May my eating be like disproportionate, sort of, is the translation. And eating, when we talk about black color in physics, black absorbs light. So we're talking about eating food and drinking liquids, absorbing food and absorbing liquids. So those are the blacks and we are the whites, but we're cousins. And we have, on my father's side, we have some of us whites who are in like living in the blacks. And then I assume some of the blacks come and live with us too. But there's like, conflict, but it's like just like rivalry sort of thing. And they're unusually, the blacks, who they're like tan humans, but the blacks are unusually, I've spent several months among them, living there in the capital, or like staying in the capital. I don't know about several months, but I've been like over like a month there, or like 2 months. And they're unusually nice to me, even though they are, they're like very, apparently they'll say like whatever to like many type humans. But they're very nice to me, and I guess they understood earlier than I did. I'm of their like white cousins, because the way I was being explained to different humans is like I am from, wow, look at all those pimples, from like where Mordecai and Esther, the Jews, are from, relative to like Purim in Hamadan province, but that's like my father's matrilineal, not my father's patrilineal. My father's patrilineal, he had moved to Hamadan as like a cleric, as a Shia Muslim cleric, and excuse me, but he's actually a Burujerdi, which is also pronounced Velugerdi. But my mother is like a different population. She's Japheth, and the Japheth live in the land areas, but my mother's population have been living also in our Shem lands for like a while. Anyways, so on my mother's side, her matrilineal grandfather, his patrilineal uncle, Mer Ali Khan was a human who had a lot of power in the region, and I'm not sure what happened exactly, but the story approximately actually is when humans were beginning to have disproportionate, outside of like Italy and Germany and those sort of scenarios, but like in the early 1900s, when Iran has the system of nationalization, and so nationalization is a little, I guess, different than what I'm saying. The nation state was coming about, the modern nation state in Iran, which was sort of later than in Europe with like Italy and Germany in the late 1800s, if I remember correctly, like the 1870s, I think, 1871 or something was Italy, but I forget. But and Germany was like, I think, close to Italy in terms of having a modern nation state. But Iran was the early 1900s after, I think, the Qajar dynasty. I don't know too much about them. I don't understand too much about them. But the Pahlavi were the beginning of the modern nation state in Iran, beginning with Reza Pahlavi, the father of so the first Shah, the first Pahlavi Shah, first Pahlavi king. Shah means king. And so I guess Mer Ali Khan, who was like a landlord and he was powerful, he couldn't see the writing on the wall. He didn't understand the writing on the wall, was saying that the nation state will begin, and this is the way the earth is going to be. So he raises of the population he was of, I think 2,000 to 4,000 adult male humans. I don't know if he had any underage humans also. And he gets them weapons. And I guess the weapons are disproportionately firearms, like rifle type firearms of the early 1900s. And I'm not sure if he had swords or anything of the sort, but with 2,000 or so, like definitely under 4,000 humans, he tries to have so I should mention, he never had any children. I don't know if I mentioned that with his wife. But he didn't have his ducks in a row. He didn't see the writing on the wall. If you had your ducks in a row, I would have if I was in his shoes in real life. And I believe in the 10 Commandments, so thou shalt not kill. But, I believe in God, of course. But I would have had, if I could, at least 12 male children, like 12 sons, and then consider any type of like, despite how many years this would take, I would have like multiple wives if I could, and have like 12 male sons, if we're talking about like Jacob, for instance, or like 12 imams in a sense. And then I would consider taking thousands of men, which I would never do to begin with, because I don't believe to kill. But then I would take thousands of men and try to hold on to territory in like a feudal sense versus a nation state, but I'm talking, hindsight is 50, did I say 50? Did I almost say my English is 50-50? Hindsight is 50-50. Hindsight is 2020, my apologies. But he didn't have his ducks in a row. And he goes to, I guess you could say, war against the Pahlavi in what his understanding was, and I believe an Armenian general or commander or orderer or whatever you call him. And I might have made a video like this earlier, but he becomes successful against Mer Ali Khan, and instead of pardoning or letting go or whatever, like even keeping in jail Mer Ali Khan, they executed him by hanging. And he wasn't obviously Jesus Christ, King of the Jews, but he was the landlord, but the landlord in and non-slaveholder in the region in Western Iran. He was Japheth, Dravidian, ancestrally. So he isn't blood to me. He is as water to me, but he is a relative, a genome relative, and he's a relative of my mother. And thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother in the 10 Commandments. And my father's wife, who is my mother, my mother when she was alive was wife to my father. My father's wife had a relative named Ali Khan. So also to my father, he is so like through marriage at the least a genome relative. Legal Shia Muslim marriage or legal marriage in a nation state sense, and of course in the United States, which I am of by birth. So sorry, a little bit out of breath. So the Pahlavi. So if I'm anti the Pahlavi, it isn't only because Reza Pahlavi, the first king, he was sort of evil when he was siding with Adolf Hitler on the eve of World War II, and we know of the Holocaust. So of course, the Holocaust. But also, I'm not only against Mohammad Reza Pahlavi because he decided to bury in his own home a man held on house arrest until he died, I think of cancer, for having been a popularizer of a republic scenario or like a democracy in like a in a prime minister who he was, Mohammad Mossadegh. So yes, and also I'm not only against the Reza Pahlavi, who humans are calling like the crown prince. In no way will you be allowed to be a crown prince, and I refuse to go to my death for this. So I believe to live. I believe in God and I believe to live. But so even though Reza Pahlavi, who they're calling Valiat, as the biggest joke on the planet, he's actually the hunchback in the movie The 300 who betrays the Spartans and betrays Leonidas so he can have, I guess, riches and the women and everything. And while some of us are constantly working and losing access to women because of what the reality is, but so yes, but we understand history, and of course we understand God and we understand history. So thou shalt not kill, and you wouldn't want to be killed. Survival of the fittest actually is the plan at the very least. But yes, I'm not describing like Mein Kampf type of understanding, or like an early 1900s understanding, but survive, remain alive, remain a living organism, and live to fight another day. But so this Reza Pahlavi is, telling the Republican president Donald Trump to continue warfare, and even when the warfare is causing attacks on schools of over 100 little girls who are massacred or slaughtered, essentially. So instead of being a peacemaker, like Jesus Christ have explained in the gospel according to Matthew, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. And the way I'm translating that, and I believe I am the higher correct, not that they are actually a son of God, because God has no children. They are sons, meaning they have a father and they have a mother of God. So for instance, I don't want to say the name, but of the name of God, this human or that human actually had a father and a mother and understood what it meant to have honor. Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother by being a peacemaker. And I'll discuss in a different video. Would you please, may I ask you to please stop saying genitalia size is the word blessed. The word endowed, like well endowed, is genitalia. Blessed is a religious word. Okay, we're talking relative to understanding of actually God alone. Okay, please stop making it about genitalia. Those words are well endowed. Blessed is a peacemaker. Blessed are those who mourn. This is in the gospel, for instance, according to Matthew. We're talking about Jesus Christ, but way earlier. Okay, and in Islam, for example, Muhammad is a blessed human, in my understanding. So please stop talking about your genitalia. May I ask you to do this when you're talking about blessed, okay? Different word, different understanding. Get out of the religions with your genitalia. Okay, keep it, you can keep it like public, but like keep it somewhat like private also. So anyways, yes, so this Pahlavi is being the opposite of a peacemaker. He wants like regime change. Okay, What about those of us who are higher powerful and higher stronger and fastest compared to you and refuse, undeniably refuse, even though I am made a slave, right? So I am a ghulam, or like barde, and I am the higher than you because I'm not some like, what am I, like a Georgetown law school? I'm like a, UCLA to like Harvard Law School and Columbia Law School and USC Gould School of Law. So when I tell you I have a blood debt, though to a relative, against the Pahlavi, I'm explaining to you, Pahlavi supporters, whoever you are, whatever your background is, stay away from me and stay uninvolved in what is happening and let a peace process begin, especially because the Jews are involved. God's chosen people, may God's chosen people win. And I hope in my personal authority and my personal understanding, may this be in actually reference to the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. May the Jews no shed any blood, and may the Jews no have their blood shed, and may no criminal attack against the Jews happen, and may the Jews no be criminal. This would be a higher win than who kills who. And of course, bluffing is a different scenario than what actually I am saying. But of course, nuclear bombings, nuclear detonations, the higher limit should have been 0. But since we already have 2, the higher limit should be 2. But I'm telling you, I will take it up to 6 instead of the additional 2 you were planning to make it 4. Okay? So you get your 666 going. Okay? And Book of Revelation and the Apocalypse and the Horsemen and this and that. But anyways, so yes, when I tell you I am a Shia Musalmun, and I am, in terms of my patrilineal, in addition to being a Shia Musalmun, I have a nationalization background also in banking, the national banking system. And I am of the USA, and my father and my mother were immigrants to the USA and have been citizens for multiple decades by taking a test in the USA. And my father have entered the USA as a university, university green card type human. And my mother entered by marriage to my father, and remained married to my father until she passed away within a year of tonight, earlier than tonight, of the second type of cancer she had after breast cancer, the ovarian cancer. So when I tell you, if you support the Pahlavi, just calm and relax and stay polite. And you aren't staying polite because I'm telling you I'm a gorilla and you need to stop. Okay? Anyways, take care and enjoy my made up story. Bye-bye.